Hey everybody, Mike Turner with the Save Acworth History Foundation. I'm president and will be for about 10 more hours, and I'll be turning over the reins to somebody else. But we got a special guest here today, Butch Price, who has agreed to donate something, and he wanted to donate it on my watch, of which I'm very honored. So I'm gonna let Butch go ahead and tell you what he's got.
Okay, thank you, Mac. I didn't choose to do this today deliberately. It wasn't a deliberate choice. It just happened to work out this way. I knew that Mac I'd read on the Facebook that he was retiring. I believe it was the day before the 4th of July. Is that correct? And we talked about it, and I thought, gosh, what a loss. You know, when I was on the city council when we started the process of saving the depot and so forth, and I thought, you know, this'll probably fizzle out after we do the depot, and it'll kind of fizzle away and disappear. But Mac has kept it together all these years, and the Save Acworth History Foundation probably is doing one of the greatest services for the community that has ever been done. And it's thanks to your efforts and your guidance and wisdom and leadership that this has been so successful. And I would put it up against any community in the world as far as what has been accomplished and probably what will go forward. And so for me to be able to make a contribution on the day that Mac's retirement makes this his final act, I assume, official act, and that's quite an honor for me to be able to do that. And I want to say how much I appreciate my relationship with you and what you've done for our city. And as to what I'm donating today or making a contribution, it goes back to my real first interest in this community, and that is with the school system. I retired from the school system in the year 96, I believe was the year I retired, and I had spent my last 18 years as principal of Acworth Elementary after having taught at the school my first 2 years. So 20 of my 32 years was spent in that school, and then some of it was at Autry, and then some was in the county office and so forth, and a couple other schools. But my love was always up here with the history of Acworth School. So I'm sitting at home one day, and Acworth Elementary School had closed down. Mac, I don't exactly remember the exact year, somewhere around 2004, 2005, somewhere in that range. I don't remember that exact year. So when the school closed down and they moved the elementary program up to McEver Road or whatever that street is, the new school was opened up. Well, all of the stuff from the old Acworth Library was transferred up to the new school. And of course, Acworth sat vacant for a number of years before they eventually tore it down and built the new school. So all of the stuff that was in the media center at Acworth was transferred up to the new school. And so the new school had also took a few of the teachers that were still teaching. When I left as principal, a few of them were still there, and we had a big transition the next year after I retired. That's when Fry opened up, and they took a lot of our teachers, and so it was about half of them had gone to another school. So when the new school opened up and they transferred up, there wasn't a lot of the old teachers that were there, so it was a lot of new people. And so they had all of the history stuff there, and I think the school probably got together, the new school, and they kind of made a decision of, you know, we want to have our own history. We're not really interested in the history that's transferred up from the old school. So I'm sitting at home one day and the phone rings, and it's Jerry Bennett. You remember those? He was a custodian for me at Acworth, and then when the new school opened, he transferred up there. And he said, Beth Mitchell, who was a media specialist who was responsible for putting all this together, she was retiring, and she drove out the driveway on her last day, and I guess they decided at that point it was time to do some summer cleanup. So as the summer comes around, old Jerry calls me and he says, I'm standing out here at the dumpster with about 4 or 5 boxes full of pictures, and he said, I've been told to get rid of this. And he said, what do you think? And I said, don't throw it away, let me just come get it and I'll take care of it. So, cause I knew what it was, and so I went up and got all the pictures, and I took them home. And so I've had them there at the house for whatever, how many years that's been. I'd say 15 years at least, you know, somewhere around that time. And I know how much I enjoy the things. I'll get them out, and Joe and I started teaching in 64 there at the school, and I'll get the 64 book. I like to look at who was in my first class, who was my first homeroom, who was my second homeroom, and so we always found when I was at school that as the kids they'd leave Acworth, go to Altry, get up in North Cobb, and they'd come back by and visit the elementary school, and they'd go to the library and they'd find the album of their pictures and look at their class and say, and they, you know, this is just the memories they built of that. So what Beth Mitchell would do when the school system, they always had class picture day where they made the individual pictures. That was kind of a fundraiser for the schools. And then the photographers would always put together a little booklet, you know, sort of like this right here, you know, of each class. And a lot of teachers labeled who's in the class, which was the most important thing, but most of them didn't do it. But if you had that, so every year that was put in the media center, and for whatever reason it started in 1960. This is the oldest one that we had when the new school opened. They transferred it out, and then this one was the last one, I guess, and it was you can see the difference in it, the size of it. But so it started off in 1960 and it goes all the way through 2004. Wow. And it's the individual classes. If you were a 10-year-old or a 8-year-old or a 6-year-old child in the year 1962, you can go back and find your class picture and see who was in your class. And so I've kept these at the house. I built special shelf for them, and I had them spread out, and I just thought, with the success of that Save Acworth History Foundation, why not place these where people, if they come into the community, could call somebody that's on that foundation and they could bring up here and let them look through it, because it's we always found that that's what the children enjoyed when they'd come back by to visit. So I present these to the Acworth History Foundation, and I'm so glad to have done it on your final watch.
Okay, y'all.
Just a minute. Can't get. I can't get it off video.
Well,
We'll wait on.
we'll wait
Go ahead
on.
and finish it up and we'll do pictures later.
Well, I don't really know what to say, Butch. I started at the Acworth School, I may get a little emotional, in 1952. And I don't think I'm in that. I think maybe Betsy was, didn't you say your picture was in there? But this is one of the most amazing things I think we've had donated.
Well, thank you.
And like I say, it's a little bit emotional for me because I started that school 72 years ago, and today I come full circle. So,
Well, you know, McCall School was built up there on that site, and I like history enough what I did, even this was when McCall, and I'm retired by the time McCall's built, and my grandson was in the very first kindergarten class at McCall, and so I went up and asked the principal. I said, do you know the history of this school site? I mean, the ground. I said, this building is brand new, but I said, are you familiar with what was here before that and even before that? And the guy, the principal said, no, not really. You know? So I said, would you object if I wrote a history, a sort of a 2 or 3 page history of what has been on this school site on these hallowed grounds for over 100 years, you know? And he said, be glad for it. And so I wrote that out, and we put some stuff, and I said, it doesn't mean anything, and I said, probably a lot of people won't see it, but I said a lot. And so the principal got a cabinet and dedicated it to the history of that school site. And when parents come in to pick up their kids, they'll have to wait till they call them, you know, and he said, you'll be amazed at how many of them stand there and read that thing, and then they'll say, I didn't know this, because it goes back to the old Smith Lemon Institute, the story itself. So the schools build their own history. So McCall is now building its history, and that new school on, I think it's Cantrell Road, the Acworth Primary, they're building their history. But and this right here is something that the community will just be proud to have.
I can't tell you how proud they'll be to have it. I'm gonna come over and look through it some myself.
Yeah.
But while we're here, I want to recognize there's a few people more in the room here. I know y'all are only seeing us too. I want to start off with Acworth Alderman Tim Richardson, a good friend, and just been a stalwart for us in Save Acworth history. Around the room, Becca's husband Rick, Bill Hamilton, who came over to Alabama a little before Butch with his father. Yvonne Leander, secretary for many years, she's still on the board. Betsy Brown, who'll be taking over for me in a few hours here. I couldn't be happier. And Becca Keenel, I can't begin to tell you what she's meant to this organization. So anyway, I'll let somebody else speak. I'm too emotional. Thank you.